Pat here, Dead Things and the Hideous Horror on How. This is a tutorial on how to make great stuff foam pumpkins that are carvable. The original idea comes from Alan Hops of Stiltbeast Studios. All I've done is taken his original idea and modified it slightly in order to get pumpkins that you can carve. Now, the materials required in order of appearance are one 20-inch beach ball. The cheaper the better. This will not survive the process. Also be aware, the larger that you blow this beach ball up, the more great stuff foam you're going to need to cover it. Spray adhesive. This is used to glue the cloth to the beach ball. More on that later. The cloth. This will be glued onto the beach ball with the spray adhesive. This one must be white or yellow or orange, as it will be reflecting the flickering LEDs that will be placed inside the pumpkin. Great stuff foam. This forms the body of the pumpkin. With judicious use and a properly inflated beach ball, 2 20-ounce cans will make 3 pumpkins. Will cover 3 beach balls. But you should probably have an extra can just in case. Another cloth. It doesn't have to be white, but it does have to be large enough to reach around the beach ball when it has great stuff foam on it. This will help to contain the foam, allowing us to shape it into the pumpkin form. Electrical tape. This will be used to create the ribs of the pumpkins. I use 5 strands of electrical tape, approximately 5 feet long, which will create 10 ribs on the pumpkin. A small box cutter. This will be used to cut the face into the pumpkin, as well as do any shaping that is required. Get yourself some extra blades, especially if you're making multiple pumpkins. Foam dulls blades. Leak seal. This will be sprayed into the interior of the pumpkin to protect the cloth from moisture. My pumpkins will be outside and will be subject to nature. Brown paint. This is a dark espresso brown. This will be the base coat for the pumpkins. You need to apply this thickly to get into all the nooks and crannies of the pumpkin, as it's those little nooks and crannies that create the character of the pumpkin. Green paint for the stem of the pumpkin. Orange paint. Enough said. Flickering LEDs. These are 5mm flickering amber LEDs or candle amber LEDs. They are wired in series, anode to cathode, and are wired for 12 volt DC. My particular system uses RCA plugs. Readily available. Everybody and their dog has a drawer full of these and are easily to incorporate into a low voltage system. Or you can use wall wart. 12 volt DC, 9 volt DC, whichever you use, you just have to make sure you use the appropriate resistor for your LEDs. Another thing that you should have is a bucket with some water in it. You will need that to get both the inner and the outer cloth wet. And I'll show you how to do that, especially the one that will be glued onto here. I have blown this up really, really large. I measured the circumference of this, and this is 50 inches around. So I've had to have a really large cloth to be able to go all the way around this. I want to make a really big pumpkin. This will probably actually use almost all of that 20-ounce can of great stuff. So we're going to start with the spray adhesive. So the first thing we'll do is just make sure you give this a good spray with the glue. Okay, now with any spray adhesive, you have to let it tack up. So we'll let that sit for a second. Now this, I'm just going to try and make sure that it's as even as possible. So I've got an equal cloth all the way around. If you have a big enough workbench that you can put a big twin sheet on, you're lucky. We'll let that tack up for a moment. What I'm going to do now, so I'm going to pull my tape out while I'm letting this tack up. About 5 feet worth. And you want to place this so that they do not get tangled. I'm going to take this now, spray this side. So now I'm going to bring the cloth up around the beach ball. The idea here is to minimize large folds. Little tiny creases in there aren't a bad thing. They actually help to lock the cloth to the great stuff. But you don't want really large folds in there. So as I'm bringing it up, I'm actually going to be shaping it so it looks like it has 2 large wings on each side. So here we go. So, making sure everything is nice and tight. Smooth up against the beach ball. Bring it round. So I've kind of got it to this point here. Now what I'm going to do, pull out these wings a little bit. And we'll start working it up. See these types of big creases here, you do not want that, because that may not, while this may lock into the great stuff, this under here may not, and it could flap down once this beach ball is removed from the pumpkin form. The nice thing with spray adhesive is that you can pull it apart and re-tack it, reset it, and it will continue to tack. So you can see through most of the beach ball, there are these little creases in here, but that's not a bad thing. As I said, that will help to lock the great stuff onto this cloth. Now you should be left with two wings, basically. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut these wings off. But we're going to leave a little bit somewhere along here where we can make ourselves a stem. Not so much for the final great stuff stem, but for something for us to hold on to while we're applying the great stuff. Now I'm just trying to cut the bulk of this off, and then I will go back and trim it up a little closer. So now it's not uncommon to have to go back in there, apply a little bit more of the spray adhesive to clean up this last little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to create a stem with the excess that is right here. So the adhesive is important to hold the shape to the beach ball until we get the great stuff all on it. Then it doesn't matter if it's glued to the beach ball anymore, because we're actually going to be removing that beach ball. So it's just important to make sure that we have everything glued so that we can go on to the next phase, which is forming the shape. So I'm going to finish off by creating a little stem right here, doing a little bit more refining of this, and then we will go on to the next phase.